So, Armen Petrosyan, the guy that was the victim to the viral Sharaputin Magomedov double spinning back fist knockout, will be fighting Brunno Ferreira next. Brunno Ferreira recently lost to a fighter by the name of Abus Magomedov via submission. Uh, so this is a big fight. It's not like a huge blockbuster fight because neither of these guys are like UFC stars, but these are great. These are good fighters. Brunno Ferreira is a really big entertainer when it comes to fighting. I think most of his fights in the UFC and in professional fighting have ended in the first round. He's got a lot of power, a lot of energy, a lot of drive. He's very aggressive, and that's what makes a really entertaining MMA fighter. He's fighting Armen Petrosyan. And even though Armen Petrosyan was the victim of that really viral Sharaputin Magomedov double spinning back fist knockout, before the double spinning back fist knockout happened, Sharaputin Magomedov was in trouble. He was in some pretty deep doo-doo because Armen Petrosyan looked really good. He was hanging with Sharaputin on the feet, and he wasn't going anywhere, and he was in the lead. I think he was outstriking Sharaputin Magomedov before Sharaputin was able to execute that double spinning back fist. So, Sharaputin better be thanking his lucky stars that double spinning back fist landed perfectly, because if it wasn't for that, Armen would have won, if the fight kept going how it was going. So I know Armen Petrosyan is feeling really bad about it. I think even in his post-fight speech, he talked about, or not post-fight speech, but even in his post-fight press conference, he talked about how frustrated he was and how he wanted to get that fight back because of how he knows how he fucked up, and he knew how well he was doing before that happened, and he knew that he was beating Sharaputin before that happened. So this is a great bounce back fight for Armen Petrosyan. I'm not fully counting out Brunno Ferreira, but I definitely am choosing Armen Petrosyan to win this fight, just solely based on the fact that Armen Petrosyan was able to outstrike Sharaputin Magomedov. So because he was able to outstrike Sharaputin Magomedov for as long as that fight went on for before he got knocked out, I think that's enough to really be able to outclass a really wild fighter like Brunno Ferreira, because Brunno, again, is powerful, a lot of drive, a lot of pressure, very entertaining. But again, all that kind of just seems a bit too wild. And when you move like that too much, especially towards the beginning of the fight, or even throughout the fight, you could really find yourself getting controlled by a really smart and calculated fighter. And I really would consider Armen Petrosyan to be that smart and calculated fighter. So I think Armen takes this one via third round TKO. I think Brunno hangs on in the first two, but he tires out, and Armen just kind of continues to lay on the pressure and the constant striking, so much so that Brunno gets hurt probably halfway through the final round and gets finished via ground and pound by Armen Petrosyan. So, yeah, I think overall, bottom line, it's a great bounce back fight for Armen. He's got to use this fight to, light a fire under his ass and keep gunning for better, more high-profile fights, to the point where he's able to get a rematch with Sharaputin Magomedov and right his wrong, because even he feels so really frustrated about how that fight went down, because even he knew that he was winning the fight convincingly before he became the victim to that highlight KO. So unfortunately for him, what happened in that fight made Sharaputin Magomedov a superstar, because he's really being talked about a lot more now after that really crazy ass knockout, and Armen is suffering the brunt of that, being known as the guy that got knocked out in that highlight reel KO. So it happened. He's got to bounce back. He's got to shake this off. He's got to train and he's got to train so much that he's able to make quick work of Brunno Ferreira, or at least entertaining work of Brunno Ferreira, so much so that he inches himself closer and closer to getting a rematch against Sharaput Magomedov. But overall, I'm leaning towards Armen Petrosyan. I like the way he fights. I think he's going to be able to tame a really wild fighter like Brunno Ferreira. Credit to Brunno, though. He's very entertaining. I just think he's just a little bit too wild with his approach with fighting. Although there is potential for him to be able to kind of control that power he's got and turn that into a calculated fighting style in which he's able to knock out a lot of his opponents, because he's really capable of doing so, because he's got a ton of power. It's just how he's using that power that makes him so questionable in my eyes. So we just got to see what happens with that in the future. But for that next upcoming fight, I think he does lose to Armen Petrosyan, just given how good Armen is, especially striking-wise, looking back on his fight against Sharaput Magomedov, without looking at him being the victim to that really amazing, crazy ninja-style KO. But overall, let me know what you think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. But most importantly, subscribe. I love you guys, and I'll see you all in the next.